Hey, good morning. It's Ginger Walker with the Give Back team. And this morning, I'm headed to the radio station to B101.5 with Dee Daniels for the Ask A Realtor segment that I do every first Friday of the month. And what do I do it for? For you. So you can get tips and tricks, and whether it's time to buy, whether it's time to sell, invest. So come on.
Ginger's in the studio for Ask a Realtor. Ginger, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I'm so excited to be here today.
Happy Friday. I saw you bring in some papers. Everybody wanted to know, were you bringing in the election results or what? I don't know if you were in charge of that or how that's going.
Oh, boy.
You're not in charge of that.
No,
okay.
thank goodness.
All right. Thank goodness, right? Oh, can you imagine?
It's crazy.
Trying to count all of these things? I just can't.
Listen, I almost got lost getting here this morning.
Oh,
and
I'm sure.
How many months have I been driving here, guys, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I cannot be responsible for that.
You didn't need to be the one counting anything.
No,
I gotcha.
no.
But you can count on Ginger and the team, the Give Back team, if you've got questions about real estate, anything real estate related. I've got a ton of questions for you right now, especially given that we're in the middle of this what's going to happen situation.
We've had some interesting curveballs thrown at us from a housing perspective with COVID and the election. And there's always a dip, when we have an election year. Every 4 years in November. But it's still, I just use the word bananas. The market is bananas.
Bananas.
Yes, that's a song, isn't it?
It is a song.
I just heard it in my head.
Yeah. It is. I'm sure it is. And what happens right now in the midst of we don't know who the next president's going to be.
Right.
We're literally frozen in time this week. Is everything in the real estate market on pause? Is it frozen too, or what's?
No. And that's the really cool thing about real estate right now. I go back, I started in real estate in 2008, and that was a totally different crisis than what we sort of are facing now. And I don't want to use crisis in the housing market because that's not what we're in. But the housing market now it's really unique because if you look at this year versus last year, the number of listings on the market are less than half. Interest rates are lower. They just went down even lower the last 24 hours. They came down again. They're under 3%.
That's crazy.
Generally speaking, I'm not a lender. I don't play one on the radio. But when you look at them, they're under 3% right now. I mean, we're at historical, not just chaos, but an amazing point to buy and sell real estate. So even though, we've got COVID and we're dealing with that and we've adapted and buyers and sellers and the market has adapted to dealing with COVID, but we're still bananas. I mean, people are selling. The market is great as far as if you want to sell right now. I mean, it's still heavily leaning towards a seller's market, but buyers don't worry because your interest rates are amazing. So it's just competing for the right house and finding the right fit and working with the right agent to get you there.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. And I feel like, the inventory, you still need houses. You still need houses. Yeah. So I think a lot of people who were last time you were here, we were still talking about the same sort of thing. You still need houses, still need inventory. Yeah. And people were sort of oh, well, we've been thinking about it. We just didn't know when the right time was.
Now.
Apparently the time is now.
Now, absolutely. And, people, it's interesting because I was just on another listing appointment yesterday morning up in Alexandria, and we were talking to a seller. And it was, should I do the work? Should I update this and should I do that?
Oh, yeah, good question.
So it is a really good question. And it's how much time versus money do you want to put into the house? And how much time do you want to take to do that? And you can achieve a great result either direction. And so that's the interesting thing right now. Some people are looking for an opportunity to take a house and make it theirs. Mm-hmm. And some people want a move-in ready house too. So it does depend on location, price point, things like that, and what the work is that has to be done. But we do need listings because right now the buyers are out there. And like I said, this time last year, we had at least twice as many listings on the market than we do right now.
Oh, wow.
And in some cases, it's almost triple the deficit of where we were this time last year.
So you do need the house.
We do need the houses. And the key thing, too, is do not worry about the holidays at this point. If you're thinking of selling, don't wait.
Go ahead.
Don't wait.
Interesting.
Just try not to do the photos with all of the holiday stuff in them.
Right.
That's the one thing I would suggest for sure.
Right. That makes sense. Because you do want to neutralize the situation for the buyer to come in and be like, I can make this mine.
Right.
And it not look like, you've got grandma's Christmas ornaments hanging about. Because that makes you feel like, oh, this is somebody else's house.
This is someone, right? You want,
I get it. I totally get it.
You want to paint that picture of me moving into, myself moving in.
This is a good question. Got this pretty early this morning, so I hope she's still listening. Adding on a screened-in porch or a screened-in room on a house, is that a good return on investment? Do you get the money back for doing something like that?
So generally speaking, I would say yes. And the reason why, too, is because you could use it for more than one season. So if you're just putting a deck on, then, there's a seasonality with that. But if you put in a screened-in porch, maybe then you can throw a fan up there, or, you have the ability to use it longer.
We don't have one, and I want one.
I do too.
So much.
I do too, actually.
I feel like you can just, anytime for, no mosquitoes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. No bugs. Yes. You have to worry about that in August. And so, and the thing that's interesting too is that we're seeing houses in all different price points with them, and people really love them because it's one more room almost, but not, it is, but it isn't. You might not be sitting out there in the middle of the snow if we ever get snow. I don't know if that's going to happen ever again, but
it might.
It might. But you just have the ability to use that a lot more.
Yeah.
And especially now that people are home more, right?
So true.
With being quarantined.
Yes.
So it gives you the ability to be maybe away from, other spaces that you were in, or family members. Kids. I don't know.
I need some space from you.
So the long and short answer is I do think that generally speaking, that's a good investment. Yes.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I really would. I mean, gosh, I didn't even think about people working from home. A lot of places, a lot of businesses, a lot of industries have moved to just working from home because they know they can now.
Yep.
So maybe you're like, I've got to build an office in my room, and maybe you put it, or in my house, and maybe you put it in that area, or maybe you're just like, well, if I'm going to be working at home, wouldn't it be nice to be able to sit outside sort of in your screened room?
Well, and some builders actually are doing that now too, and you have the ability to put fireplaces out there. It's kind of a unique thing. You can get crazy with it. You can add a lot of really neat things to it. People put TVs out there and make it truly like a room, and a pack heater. There's all kinds of things that you can do. But so just in a general, I would say yes. Generally speaking, that's a good investment.
A great question.
Yeah.
We had a really great question about where can you find the best list of houses for sale. Obviously everybody's very familiar with Realtor.com and Zillow and Redfin, and what's the credibility of those, and how do you work with those? How does that go?
So first of all, go to www.givebackteam.com. That's where you go for your list. Right there, you have complete access to the MLS. And you can set up a search wherever you want for whatever price range you want in the Northern Virginia, Stafford, Fredericksburg area.
So you have that whole search thing right there on your site. Yeah. Wow.
You can do it by area. You can actually, it's kind of cool. You can do it by a grid. You can draw a map if you want to try and stay within a mapped area as opposed to zip codes or towns or things like that. And one of the other cool resources that we have too is if you're interested in your house value, there's a report on our website that you can go to, and it'll give you instant access to a report on value of your house right now, too. Obviously, that doesn't take any condition into consideration, but that's a resource on givebackteam.com's website as well. So if you're looking for that, go right there. Now, to answer your question about the other resources or where you see things, they're great places to start. I am on those websites as well, and I'm a premier agent with Zillow and all those.
I was going to say, so you do work with those.
I do.
Sites.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so when you're looking on Zillow, you might end up pushing a button and getting my voice on the other end of the line. The one thing I do caution people, though, is because our market is so crazy right now, or bananas, as I like to say, and things are moving so quickly, sometimes those websites are not updating in real time. GiveBackTeam.com is a direct feed from the MLS. So I'll give you an example. On Zillow, you might find a house that's for sale, but unfortunately it's already under contract and it hasn't updated it's updated in the MLS, but it hasn't updated on Zillow. And sometimes we're finding that they're still under contract when they're already closed. And so, people get excited about an opportunity and unfortunately it's already gone. So for real-time data, go to a realtor's website, and givebackteam.com is one that you can use. It's free to you. So it doesn't cost anything. We won't bug you. And if you're looking, like I said, for a property value, you can get that report there too.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. And to know that that's updated in real time.
Yep.
that does make a difference.
So it's a resource that we offer everybody, and there's all kinds of other great things on there. Like if you're looking for a handyman, or that person that's looking to put that screened-in porch.
Right.
There's contractors on there, plumbers, electricians, so we try and make it as useful of a tool and a resource for our community as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another question that came in, I want to try to get to some of these. Besides cleaning and decluttering your house, what's the number one improvement that you should make on your house if you're thinking about listing it soon?
So if you're going to list it soon, deep cleaning and decluttering are definitely the two Ds. I would say depersonalizing is the third D.
Oh, yeah.
So I usually think of things as the 3 Ds for getting a house ready. So if you're depersonalizing, get rid of, you're packing, you're going to move, get rid of all the things that you possibly can. And I think I've mentioned this before, but floor space is a good thing. The less on a counter, the better. So, and these don't cost you anything, and you're going to move anyway. So pack it up and get it out. And just really look at the floor, and anything you can take off the floor, do it. Any personal pictures, take them down. Religious things, that's up to you, but we usually recommend taking those down, and political things too.
Yes.
You might want to, just because of the nature of.
Well, yeah, you want to neutralize.
Yes.
It's got to be sort of just in the middle of,
exactly.
So everybody can sort of do their own thing when they are looking to possibly put their family in that house.
Exactly.
A couple other things real quick here. What's the number one thing buyers are looking for right now, especially this year in the year of COVID?
Space to do things. So, and if it's a universal, like a room that could be used for an office space, or, long distance learning for virtual learning for kids, or just the flexibility with space, I would say. And, and the ability to live, work, and play in the house.
One more that I thought was a really, really good question here is, speaking of, it's a really good time to, sell your house. You need the inventory right now and all that sort of thing. Is it also a good time to buy land and build on it later?
Good question. And the answer is, it's always a good time to buy land in real estate, always. The question then becomes is how later is later. So, you're not going to lose by buying and investing in real estate. So if that's something that you can do, and land is a lot cheaper than, land and a house on it right now, you can take advantage of that. Yeah, for sure.
Can you help somebody walk through that process too if they want to buy land?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We do land. Absolutely. We do land all the time. The only thing is, if you're thinking of building right now, just make sure you're doing your due diligence of finding a builder. And pricing of new construction and things like lumber, although they're saying lumber might be coming back down, it did go up.
Yeah.
The cost of goods went up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. If you've got more questions for Ginger, you can text in, but you can also get her on givebackteam.com. Givebackteam. Ginger, thanks so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, well, thanks so much for joining me for this episode of Ask a Realtor at B101.5. And if you have additional questions that you didn't get the answer for today, feel free to find me at givebackteam.com. Join me next time on B101.5 for the Ask the Realtor segment every first Friday right here at B101.5 in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Bye, everyone.